You've meditated for years. You've tried to be mindful. You've repeated mantras, read countless books on awakening, and sat through endless hours of silence. You've had moments of peace, moments where the world faded, and you thought you had finally arrived. But then somehow it slips away. The noise comes back. The old self returns. That subtle feeling of being a person with problems, a seeker still searching, quietly returns. And so the search continues. But what if the very act of searching is the problem? What if the one who is seeking freedom is the same illusion that must dissolve for freedom to be seen? This is where the wisdom of Ramana Maharshi begins, not in adding new practices, but in removing everything false. He did not teach you to become something. He showed how to uncover what you already are. He called it self-inquiry, or in Sanskrit, Atma Vichara. And it begins with one question that shakes the very foundation of identity. Who am I? You see, most spiritual systems promise peace through effort. They tell you to meditate longer, love deeper, breathe slower, and one day you will be enlightened. But Ramana saw a hidden trap. He said, every time you try to become peaceful, the I, the doer, the seeker, becomes stronger. You begin building a better, more spiritual version of yourself. But the truth is not found in improving the I. It is found in seeing that the I itself is the illusion. He said, your duty is to be, not to be this or that. The path he gave is not one of accumulation, but subtraction. Not about reaching something new, but realizing what has always been here. Beneath the noise, beneath the stories, beneath the seeker. Think of your mind like a movie screen filled with images, thoughts, memories, desires, fears. All of them appear and disappear, but the screen never moves. That unmoving, silent background, that is you. But how do we find it? By turning the mind's attention back upon itself. Every thought you have, I am happy, I am sad, I am lost, I am spiritual, begins with one seed thought, I. Without that I, no other thought can exist. So Ramana said, when any thought arises, instead of chasing it, stop and ask, to whom did this thought arise? And the answer will come. To me. Now, ask again. Who am I? That question, when asked with silence rather than intellect, has the power to end the false search forever. Let's take a real example. You're sitting quietly after a long day. A thought arises. I'm anxious about tomorrow. Normally, you'd analyze it or try to calm yourself. But now, you do something different. You pause. You ask, to whom did this anxiety appear? The answer comes, to me. Now turn your attention onto that me. Ask, who am I? You don't look for an answer in words. You feel into the very presence of I. You notice the stillness beneath it, the simple sense of being that has no label, no name. That awareness is not anxious. It has never been touched. And that's the point of self-inquiry. To trace every thought back to the source, until only the source remains. But the mind resists. It wants to answer. It will say, I am consciousness. I am a soul. I am this. I am that. Ramana said, these are still thoughts. Don't believe them. Don't argue with them. Just see them arise and again ask, to whom did this thought arise? Keep tracing it back, gently but persistently, until the mind becomes quiet. At first, you'll feel like you're failing. You'll ask, who am I? And within seconds, you'll be thinking about dinner. But that's not failure. That's the practice. Every distraction is a new invitation to inquire again. Every emotion, every worry, every moment of restlessness, all of them are doors that lead back home if you simply ask, to whom did this arise? To me. Who am I? And slowly, something begins to shift. The thoughts continue, but they lose their weight. The feelings come, but they no longer define you. You begin to notice a silence underneath it all, a stillness that was always there. That stillness is not something you create. It's not an achievement. It's what you are when you stop pretending to be something else. As you continue this inquiry, the I, the sense of being a separate person, begins to dissolve. You don't destroy it by force, you simply stop feeding it with attention. And what remains is awareness. Infinite, untouched, luminous. Ramana Maharshi said that when you follow the I thought to its source, it disappears, just like a river merging back into the ocean. What remains is the ocean itself, vast, silent, eternal. Let's ground this truth with a real story. One of Ramana's devotees once said, "I've meditated for 30 years, but my mind never stays still." Ramana smiled gently and asked, "Who has been meditating for 30 years?" The man paused. There was silence. And in that silence, the question disappeared, along with the seeker. That, Ramana said, is true meditation. Self-inquiry is not about sitting cross-legged and stopping thoughts. It's about turning attention toward the one who says, "I have thoughts." When you truly look, you see there is no solid self there at all, just awareness watching the play of life. This realization is not an idea. It's a shift of identity, from the dream character to the screen on which the dream appears. When this shift happens, even for a few moments, life transforms. You no longer live as the person. You live as the presence behind the person. You still work, love, laugh, and cry, but everything happens in freedom. There's no one left inside claiming to control it. Ramana said, "Liberation is simply to know that you are never bound." The question is not, "When will I be free?" The question is, who believes they are not free? That is the essence of self-inquiry. You don't need decades of practice or mystical experiences. You don't need to fix yourself or collect knowledge. You only need the courage to look directly at the one who says, "I." The mind will fight. It will distract you, deceive you, promise you spiritual fireworks. But the truth is silent. It doesn't shout. It simply is. Every time you turn inward and rest in the question, "Who am I?" you cut the root of illusion. And when the root is gone, the tree of suffering collapses on its own. What's left is peace. Not the peace that comes and goes, but the peace that has no opposite. Not the silence of effort, but the silence of being. When you discover this, something remarkable happens. You realize that you've been home all along, that all the striving, all the searching, all the waiting was just a dream, that you were never lost. The one who thought it was lost never existed. That realization is freedom. That is awakening. And it's available now, not tomorrow, not after 10 retreats, not after enlightenment. Now. All it takes is one question, and the courage to ask it deeply. Who am I? Not the name, not the role, not the body, not the story, but the awareness before all stories begin. When you trace that awareness back to its source, there's nothing to find. Because you were never separate from it. It was you before you became you. This is the power of Ramana Maharshi's teaching, simple, direct, and complete. It doesn't lead you somewhere new. It ends the illusion that you ever left. And so, the invitation is here. Stop searching for peace. Look for the one who searches. Stop chasing God. Ask who the chaser is. Stop running from suffering. See who the sufferer really is. The answer will not come in words. It will come as silence. A silence so alive, so full, that you'll know, beyond all thought, that you have returned home, because you never left. So, if these words resonate with you, if they awaken even a flicker of stillness inside, then stay. Join this space of inquiry and remembrance. Give this video a like, not for algorithms, but to affirm that this wisdom still matters in a restless world. Subscribe and click the bell, not to collect information, but to stay connected to this one truth that liberates the heart. Because the only real question left to ask, the only one that matters, is the one Ramana Maharshi offered to all humanity. Who am I?